Hey, it's Patricia Murphy. It's Wednesday, and this is Seattle Now. It feels like we've resigned ourselves to wildfires. The smoke and destruction are just part of our lives now. But it doesn't have to be that way. For thousands of years, native tribes managed land in the West and prevented catastrophic fires like the ones we're seeing today by using fire intentionally. In a minute, we'll talk with Rick O'Rourke about how prescribed burning could solve the West's wildfire problem. But first, let's get you caught up. 45 miles of U.S. Highway 12 over White Pass had to be closed as firefighters battled a new blaze yesterday. Other places are dealing with historically bad smoky air. It's so bad the Mariners had to postpone last night and tonight's home games against the Giants. They'll pick up the series tonight and tomorrow night at San Francisco's Oracle Park. The hazardous smoke is expected to lift towards the weekend. Seattle City Council has voted to fund Councilmember Kshama Sawant's legal battle against recall. The council backed the measure 7-1. Several Seattle residents are leading the effort to recall Sawant for 6 alleged violations, including the night she supposedly allowed demonstrators into City Hall during a nighttime protest back in June. And Dick's Drive-In is heading out on the road. Yep, the local burger chain is launching a food truck in November. Sort of. Hardcore fans may be disappointed to know you won't be able to get fries. If it still sounds like a good deal, you can vote on where you'd like the food truck to end up on their website. Like so much of 2020, wildfires are extreme this year. People have lost their homes and in some cases, their lives. Forests have always been managed, but not always this way. Native tribes have a very different relationship with the land. One thing some tribes do is set fires on purpose to manage lands and make destructive fires less common. Rick O'Rourke is the fire field coordinator for the Cultural Fire Management Council in Northern California and a member of the Yurok tribe. Rick, thanks for taking time to be on the show.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's my pleasure.
So the term you use for fires that are set on purpose to manage the land is prescribed burning. What's the goal when you do one of these burns?
For us, there's a lot of different objectives. It started out with just our cultural resources, which is the hazels we use for our baskets, in which we carry our medicine and our babies and our food in. The hazels that we use is a fire-adapted plant. We need the fire to pass through it to create new growth, long straight shoots. Then it elevated into habitat and prairie restoration and looking at the beneficial uses of fire, removing invasives, helping purify our water. There's so many things, as well as, safety.
Right. And obviously these were techniques that were developed over hundreds of years. Can you tell me how a prescribed burn changes the landscape?
The way we used to use fire, and it's been for thousands and thousands of years, we're one of the few tribes that has not been displaced in Northern America. So we've been here since the very beginning of time, and we've adapted with this land. We adapted with fire, and the land has adapted with fire. We're a fire culture people. For California, I heard a friend of mine say that we used to burn between 4 and 12 million acres annually.
Wow.
And it brings back our food sources and our animals and our medicine plants. And, for me and my crew and the folks who work with it gives us a connection to the earth that is profound. To me, applying fire to the earth is like applying prayer. Nowadays, there's such fuel loading, the amount of conifers that are encroaching into our systems is throwing things off balance. And without being able to put fire down on the ground, it's turning into this conflagration of, it's not if, but it's when it's going to burn. Just like these other fires are burning at super high severity. It can be mitigated. It doesn't have to be like this.
I just want to make sure we're clear, because for some people, the idea that burning stuff to stop burning more stuff doesn't really compute. So why do we want to burn things to stop a bigger burn?
Well, some of the places where we go in, I literally have to crawl through the brush because I can't walk through it to put in our flags. The brush is so thick that when it goes big. The forest floor is just littered with 100 years of debris. Some of the places hasn't seen fire in 130 years. That's kind of like if your house was full of newspapers and you were playing with matches, you're going to get a fire. But if you don't have any newspapers in your house, it's probably not going to get a fire.
Now, you teach people how to do this. You give classes. How do you talk to them about it? Because obviously, many of us were raised in a culture where fire has a very bad PR problem. We don't want fire. So what do you tell people who are interested in learning about this kind of management?
Well, right now, everybody's seeing fire as a monster, as the monster it can be. I don't want to go out and fight with fire. I'd rather work with fire and use it as a tool instead of having to engage on this level and putting so many people's lives and property and health at risk. You may not even be around a fire and you're still at risk. Fortunately, down where I'm from, everybody wants fire down there. We know it's a part of the landscape. We're a part of the landscape. We insert ourselves into the landscape and help manage it in so many different levels. And the support that we get from our community and the trust that they allow me to do what I do is one of the driving forces that makes me so passionate about what I do. Showing people the lighter side of fire.
Tell me about your relationship with fire, Rick.
When I light a match, I watch how it burns.
I love a campfire.
Yeah. As you start trying to just be with fire, to walk with fire through the landscape, it's humbling and it's empowering, and there's so many different things that come along with it. It's life-changing.
I'm curious how you see our current state of affairs. It seems like we're at a point in history now where we can no longer ignore the catastrophes playing out in front of us. So for a guy like yourself who understands this, what do you see 6 months from now?
I see a lot of people with a big fear of fire, and looking at fire historically, it usually walks in the same place. Managing these fire footprints that we're getting, I think, is a really big step in it, because now we have these huge areas where the fuels are already gone. If we can manage that and then work around that and learn from that, I think it's a good way to start. People educating themselves, reach out to people, because people in the fire world, they're more than willing to share their knowledge. Buy fire hose and have caches of fire equipment around your neighborhood, and some trainings on what to do. Because removing that fuel doesn't mean there's not going to be another fire. It could be a barbecue. So let's be good neighbors and friends and family. Let's pull together, because if we're going to fight with fire, we're going to lose. We need to work with fire.
That's really what I'm hearing from you, is that our relationship with our environment needs to change.
Yeah, it really does. Not just our relationship, but our culture. We need to bring fire back into our culture, because it creates and it keeps our balance. And when things get overloaded in either direction and our balance gets off, something bad's going to happen. Something's going to fall somewhere.
Rick O'Rourke, I really appreciate your insight. Thank you.
Patricia, it's been a pleasure. Call me anytime. And hey, people out there, pull together. We're strong. We can do this.
Hi, I'm Patricia Murphy, host of Seattle Now. Thank you for watching. If you think this work is important and want to support us, subscribe to our channel, leave us a comment, and check out KUOW.org for local news.